Welcome everyone to our event today, Teaching Counselling Skills in a War Zone. A very warm welcome to Sandra Grieve and Lucia Berdondini for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really lovely to have you both to talk about your project in Afghanistan. Before we do that, just like to say hello to everyone who's joining us online. It's great to have you with us. Hopefully you've got access to the chat room. And Saz can help you if you want to make some responses or ask some questions to Sandra and Lucia. I'm sure they both want to hear your comments, and hopefully we'll have a really interactive event today. It'll be really nice. Great. So just to get us started, maybe you could both give us a sense of whereabouts you're located geographically today.
I'm based in Glasgow. Oh, sorry, Sandra.
No, carry on. And I'm based in Lanark.
So as we were saying, the three of us are in Scotland, only separated by, 20 or 30 miles each today, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to get a sense of that, because we're all meeting online here. Maybe I could start off by asking you a little bit about your professional journey up to now. Lucia, did you want to say a little bit about your kind of professional background, first of all?
Yeah. Well, I'm a psychologist and a psychotherapist. I trained in Gestalt psychotherapy and person-centered. I moved to UK in the 90s, and then since then I have been working both in UK and in Italy. I maintain quite a lot of contacts in Italy as well. At the moment I work at the Strathclyde University in Glasgow. So I am the director of the postgraduate diploma course in counselling, and I do research at the moment on the work that we do in Afghanistan. Previously, for many years, my research interest used to be on bullying in school, and then over the past 4 years, I started to work on the area of psychology of disasters and countries in conflict, resilience, and so far. And so I had the occasion to start to work in Afghanistan then, and since then my research has developed in the area.
That sounds really interesting, and a very international field that you're here in Scotland and working in other countries too. Yeah. Sandra, could you give us a sense of your background as well, please?
I suppose my background is that, well, in the early part of my life I had 4 children and did all sorts of different kinds of voluntary work, but mostly I was at home looking after the children. And then about 25 years ago, I did the training in person-centered group work. And I worked in the voluntary sector with groups and community organisations. And I then did my person-centered counselling training and worked in criminal justice for a while in the field of mediation, mediating between victims and people accused of crimes as an alternative to prosecution. And it was during that time that I did my training as a psychodramatist, because what I noticed working with that group was that actually it was much easier for them to show you what was happening than to tell you. So and also psychodrama is a form of group psychotherapy, and groups are my passion. And so I teach at Strathclyde University with Lucia, and I also run a full 4-year programme in psychodrama psychotherapy. And I'm a therapist in private practice, and I do bits of training. And I go to Afghanistan with Lucia, which is fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And I also do some work in the States and in Portugal. Wow,
so you both sound very busy and both working with a real international feel, not just locally here in Scotland, but an interest to hear, Sandra, that groups is your real passion. Yeah, so it's lovely to get a sense of that. But I guess what we're here today to discuss is your work in Afghanistan and teaching counselling skills over there, and you're both running a course, I guess, in Kabul. But before we get to that, I guess there's a bit of context to get to before that. And Lucia, you've been laying a lot of groundwork for this project. Could you give us a sense of that, please?
Yes. Well, as I said, I have been working in the area of disasters for the past 4 years. And at the time I was based, so it was 2008, and I was based in Italy, and I met this Italian NGO that is called Peace Waves International Network, who's the president, the director of the NGO is called Marco Braghero, and he has been working in Afghanistan since 2001, and they have been done a lot of work, a lot of projects in collaboration with the local NGO, the Afghan NGOs or institutions, universities, projects on culture, art, music, etc. So eventually I met him and the rest of the team of Peace Waves in Italy at the time. And because of the common interests, they asked me whether I wanted to go with them to the next mission that they were going to do in January 2008 in Kabul, just to see, how it was for me to go in a place in conflict, and whether I could find some space for me to develop some projects. So I went, and basically since then I loved immediately the country and the Afghan people so much, and all the connections that I developed since then, that I went back quite regularly with Peace Waves for several occasions, and went to visit orphanages and hospitals and universities. And then in 2009, I met with the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor of the University of Herat. And so we started a series of meetings where we really built up a quite close relationship and tried to think of possible common research or projects that we could develop. Now, for me, the very first time I went there, because I noticed that there was not anything actually in terms of psychological support in all the places where I've been, the dream of developing something that could cover this aspect was very clear for me. But it was also very clear that it's not something that you can, bring there without actually, first of all, asking whether the people that are interested in that or not, and then seeing with them how we could really develop it together. So with the University of Herat, it was possible to start to discuss together with other projects that we are actually doing at the moment with them, also these. So I applied when I was back. At that point, I was employed at the Strathclyde. I'd applied for some funding that the British Council made available for collaborations between UK and Afghanistan for different projects. And we applied with the University of Herat and Peace Waves to all of them. And we were very lucky to got them. So there is a project at the moment that is mainly on research and is just measuring the Afghan civil society's perception of women's empowerment and children's education. But we also got the funding for what is called Inspire, that is this scheme that the British Council funds that was on the development of a course. And so with Sandra and other colleagues at the Strathclyde University, and obviously the team of Herat University, we developed this 3 years plan project where we are supposed to run a course each year on counselling skills for a total of 120 hours. It's basically the correspondent of the certificates, the COSCA certificates that we do at the Strathclyde.